fought the rest, now try the best!
Elad, you're getting cooked in the video? Oh my god.
Then he suddenly drops, like the scrub that he is. Who would have guessed? I never rematch a victor, and he wanted to say or Azucena. So that is the kind of player we deal with here, that openly admits, yeah, I just one and done people for their character choice.
Those two comments make sense why this person in a comment said, Moonsaw Slayer encourages one and dones. I'm not surprised. I don't have a particular source. I just remember in an old live stream, he made a tier list characters he would not rematch based on what he considers real Tekken. Mike Hollow went on another tirade about one and dones in his latest video. It's pretty funny. And also, let me say this as well. If the developers want to make the set forced, I am 100% in support of that. In Marvel's Rivals, they also have a quote-unquote best of 3. I lost the first objective, and then we played on a different map, and then my team won, and then we played on another map, and then we won the set. And I think if Tekken wants to make the set forced, this is also what they should do. The first game should be played on one stage, because the reason why I think this is also a good format of what Marvel's Rivals does is some characters have the advantage in certain stages. Like some stages has no roof, so Iron Man and Storm could fly around and shoot everyone. But then you go to another one where there's a roof and they can't get that high up in the sky. There's a lot of things in the way. They can't move around. Then you win, right? And I think Tekken is the same way, where certain characters have an advantage. King on that stage that breaks the 3 floors versus a Kazuya. Kazuya doesn't have a grab that break that floor like that, right? He has grabs that wall splat, which would make him stronger on other stages, right? But that's my point. It's like, if Tekken wants to make the set force, each game should be played on a different stage, but then also the points should be dished out for the entire set. With Rivals, you don't lose points here and then win points here, and then no, you win points for the whole set. And if Tekken wants to make the set force, they should also distribute points for the whole set. And if they do that, I already do support it, but that's how it should be implemented. Also, if you talk about the different stage idea, they do it in tournaments. In tournaments, when someone plays, they cannot rematch on the same stage. You have to random. So why would that same thing not be implemented in a forced set in ranked? It makes no sense. And then we won't have this conversation of one and done it. But let's hear what Mike says.
It says at the top there, one and done rate 20%. Next to it, it says coward. Now, obviously, we don't.
So this tweet is suggesting the game adds a percentage on how often someone one and dones. And it's saying that this person has a 20% chance of one and doneing. And then the coward part, that's just like extra, that's just an extra little fire.
If you tell me that this person has a 20% one and done rate, I don't have to play them. That way they can one and done as much as they want, and I don't have to deal with it.
Wait, so Mike is in support of this idea?
Works both ways. They think that we're going to kidnap them. That's a word you're going to see come up a lot. Kidnap somebody into playing a one and done, when really you could just tell me beforehand, and I don't have to. We don't have to have this whole song and dance, because there's plenty of people that want to play the full set. Plenty of people that want to play full set. They don't want to play with people that only want to play one game. And some of you want the opportunity to play one game. So this way, everybody wins.
Tekken shows you the set, but the game itself is not committed to the idea of the set. So how do you expect the players to commit to the idea of the set? The game is the reason why we're having this argument. Like, that's why I don't understand why players attack each other, because you need to be attacking the game. If the game forced the set from the jump, but then also distributed points and based their whole entire game based off of a set, then players wouldn't, like with Rivals, you don't even think about it. With other games who do the best of 3, you talk about search and destroy, how you play from both sides, defender and attacker. Same thing with Counter-Strike and blah, blah, blah. Like with all of those things, you don't even think about it. Rivals is a 6v6, not a 1v1. But even still, the amount of players doesn't matter. Okay, you want to talk about one-on-one? We can talk about Tetris. Tetris sometimes is at Evo and whatnot, right? They be having like Tetris side tournaments. So this is Tetris effect here, right? You see here at the bottom, this is a best of 3. You see how it's 2, 2, it's a set, right? Oh, this is actual tournament. This is a tournament. Wait, what? They're doing like what is this? They're doing like a best to 10. This even proves my point further though, that they're doing like a first to 10 or whatever they're doing here. Tekken is the only game where like if you win right here, you get a point and this person lose points. And then the game gives you the opportunity to rematch. And then you play again. Yeah, they're going to like a first to 7. That's literally what fighting games do. And you can see how different their format is, how better their format is. There is no huge ongoing conversation in the Tetris community about one and dones. That's because the game does the set properly. Blaming the players is like ridiculous in my opinion. You have to blame the game. What do you mean distribute points is Tetris? Tetris has a ranked environment. You see the SR is their rank. And when you lose the set, they take points away.
I feel like they can't get any matches, but you know, that's not our fault. You need to wire up. If your router's not close to your PlayStation, I don't know what to tell you. They've got very long wires that you can buy on Amazon. So
I do understand that Wi-Fi is worse than landline, but that's not always the case. My friend right now has terrible connection. He has a god-awful connection, and he has the most expensive landline you can have, and his connection is trash. His voice be glitching. He's skipping all around the map. He doesn't even like playing the game anymore. He's in this weird situation of trying to get multiple. Like first he had one service, then he switched to another service, then he switched to the service he has now, and he has the same problem. And that's my whole point, is that like just saying Wi-Fi is the problem is not true. My friend is literally going through it right now, where he has a very expensive landline and his connection is terrible. And myself was also going through that same issue. During the pandemic, you know, you talk about Rebirth Island, Call of Duty, my connection, which was a landline, was terrible. I got landline right now, and people say that my connection is terrible. It is very, very common, and I don't understand why people act like it's not common.
I think they should also show us who does one and dones. That way we don't have to have this conversation. This conversation has exploded on Twitter, and everybody's talking about it, and everyone's throwing insults at each other, when really, they just need to show us. They don't need to insult the player and say.
I like Mike. I think Mike has a lot of great ideas, but I think he's coming at it from the wrong perspective. It's not them showing us who one and dones. It's about them making one and dones not possible. It's not that I disagree with any of these guys. I agree with all of them. It's just that I don't agree with their conclusion. I don't agree with their solution. Their solution to like display one and dones is incorrect.
The Rada needs to see this, because why in God's name would you allow someone to one and done? Max explains it perfectly. Now, I haven't insulted anybody.
Well, see, and you see what he says. You see what he says there. Why would you allow someone to one and done? That's my point. It's like you shouldn't be allowed to leave when there's a set.
If you leave in a 2 out of 3, you're playing online ranked. That means you are agreeing to the format of 2 out of 3. If you don't want to do it and you leave, it's going to cost you some points. See this guy that said people care about their rank more than they should, and he tagged me? Well, don't you think that that's a very good incentive for the people who make the game to punish people by lowering their rank?
I spoke to my friend that plays Overwatch, and he said, no, if you leave, you get a penalty. As a matter of fact, I think in Siege, it starts to match you up with people that have left, so you get to play with the people that don't want to finish their games. He literally said to me, every single ranked game will make you incur a punishment. Starts off with a warning, then 30 minutes ban, and in Siege it goes up by 30 minutes each time you do it, and also only lets you play with shitters to learn your lesson. I asked him, what are shitters? He said, other players, basically that's how they refer to them, that have also been leaving games. So you only get matched up with people that don't know how to lock in, essentially. And he said to me that in certain games they will queue you up with other people that are on like a ban list, and that's their way of essentially punishing you.
First off, for the guy who said that, you know, 6v6 games don't count, you have Mike here also looking at how like Overwatch, and he said a couple other games, how they do it. It does count. You have many other competitive games that all does the online ranked better. And this is something that I've always felt. I've always felt that with Tekken 7, with Tag 2, not just with their points distribution, not just with their, set format, but with everything, with their ability to control cheaters, with their ability to push players in one direction. I think Marvel's Rivals can do that too much because they can push players into a loser queue, which basically means that if you're winning a lot, the game would put you on a team with a bunch of trash players to not only slow down your rank climb, but to pull you backwards. So then you can play the game longer and try to get back the ranks that you have lost. So some games can very accurately control the players and how they play the game and push them in certain directions. And Tekken doesn't have the ability to do any of that, for better or for worse, right?
And so all these other games require you to lock in. Doesn't matter that it's a shooting game, doesn't matter it's a fighting game, doesn't matter what it is. The fact is that it's ranked and that they understand this is a competitive mode, and you have gone on to ranked to compete with other people to find out who the best is, and yet Tekken, for some reason, lets you leave.
This is also something that I think what he said is really good. Tekken doesn't make you lock in. For some reason, Tekken treats ranked like it's casual as well. Like, I used to play Smite, bro. And in Smite, those games used to last for like 30 minutes. Like, if you're in a really crazy match, it could last 50 minutes. One game. But the fact that Tekken doesn't force the players to lock in for like 8 minutes. That's how much a set is. 21, so that's 2 matches. 9 minutes, so that's a match. 9 minutes, that's a match. 13 minutes, so that's a match, right? If you can't spend 10 minutes, this one's 15, right? If that's too much for you, then that would be true for every game. Every game, roughly 15 minutes. If you're going crazy, maybe it's like 12, 13. But even then, I don't blame the players at all for this issue, because it's the game that allows for all of this foolishness. And it's the game that needs to adjust and adapt and learn from all of the other games. Because that's the thing, right? Tekken is the one that wants to be a live service game. It's the one that wants to be a competitive game. It's the one that wants to be all of these things, right? So we should hold it to the standards of all other live service and competitive games. And that's just what I be trying to stress when I bring up all of these different examples from the shop, skins, outfits, etc. There's some things that Tekken do and they excel. You could talk about their skins being cheaper than most, right? So there's some things that they do better, but in many, many situations, they fall short. And I think that we need to push them, but push them in the right way, in the right direction. You can't just say like, oh, show us who wants it done, and then that's the solution. That's not the solution. Because the problem is much bigger than that. If you show who won it done, that's going to create a bigger problem, and that's going to result in more players leaving. Why do Tekken players think that's the solution? To show the one and done rate. Do you know that will kill this game? You have to understand that will kill this game, right? And it's like, is players that bloodthirsty to where they don't care? Oh, we got rid of all the one and dones and there's only 300 people online and I'm happy now. What? I don't get how the players can like not think that changes like that will have a disastrous effect. One and dones is just the punching bag for the week. Spam, yes or no? Do you think that the set should be forced? Or it should not be forced? I agree more with Mike than you, but you have good points. Fair enough, you know.